Hi, this is Chris here with Love to Dev, and today I want to talk to you about something we created last fall for Progressive Web Apps, something we felt was missing desperately, and that is a common logo to represent Progressive Web Apps. As we looked around, there wasn't really a good logo out there to represent Progressive Web Apps that the community could use. So we decided we would create one and offer it up to the community and make it open source and Creative Commons. And I'll share with you at the end of this video how you can access that repo and add your value to the logo as well. Let me explain the logo to you as you can see it here on the screen. Let's go look at the different parts of the logo. Okay, so there's basically some messaging that's going on with this particular logo, and each part has a different message and aspect of Progressive Web Apps that we think are represented in this logo. First, all Progressive Web Apps need to be fast, and so we like to think of yellow as being fast. Next, Progressive Web Apps have to be reliable, and that we're going to represent with orange. And next, they need to be engaging, and we're going to call that green. Now, we could also turn this around as well, and we could also make the colors represent three of the key technical aspects as well: HTTPS, a web manifest, and a service worker with a fetch handler. If you want to look at it that way, feel free. I like the fast, reliable, engaging a lot because that's much more broad, much more understandable by everybody, not just developers. Now next, we want to make sure that the web has some presence in this logo, and what better to represent the web than our angled brackets. And so our overall logo is encapsulated within an angled bracket to give you that subliminal message that Progressive Web Apps are indeed just websites that have taken those vitamins and progressively become apps. And next, because Progressive Web Apps have this great advantage over native applications, we like our little running man here to kind of subliminally represent being mobile and cross-platform and just highly agile and just active, if you will. And so this little guy right here kind of represents that concept. And I made some different variations of this logo. So we've been looking at it with a white background, but I've also made a series of logos with a black background so you could see the contrast there as well. And one of the reasons why I went with black and white is because they're obviously very simple, but they also provide good contrast with the colors included in the logo. And I don't think red would really look really good with this particular logo, to be honest with you. That's okay. Next, now I stole this actually from something I want to talk about here in a minute. There's a community contest to vote on a Progressive Web App logo, which actually prompted me to make some enhancements to the project as well as make this video, and hopefully by the end of the night a corresponding blog post as well. So I stole this image because one of the things I wanted to do is kind of show the logo in use, and so I stole some of the images that were being used by some of the other logos being represented in the contest, just to show how this logo could fit in as well. And so here I've just got the white logo, and I'm placing it in a series of logos here, and you can see it kind of stands out. I've also got, if you look at the actual project, I've got another variation of the big square logo where I actually have PWA in text below the actual iconic logo, and just to add some variation to it and show you how we can do some various things with this as well. But I do generally just like it without any lettering on it. It's very simple in my opinion. Next, this is something I've kind of used in some of my blog posts just to show that it is truly kind of cross-platform, cross-device, is just throw the logo on kind of a standard responsive design representational illustration or image here. This is one that I've used a lot in presentations for different things around, especially around responsive design. But here I've thrown in the logo just to show, again, that subconscious thing that, hey, this fits everywhere, which is what we really want to think about progressive web apps. Next, another one that I stole from one of the other things is just showing it represented in square tiles. Now, right now we're probably more or less limited in sometimes our thought process on how these home screen icons, if you will, are going to be represented. Now, Microsoft hasn't told us anything yet, but you got to think that they're going to incorporate the live tile concept that is on Windows with these. So one of the things you're going to notice when you look at the repo is that there's all kinds of sizes of the icon included. There's a really big one, but then I get into standardization of 600 by 310, 310 by 310, 340 by 340, so forth and so on. And a lot of those actually correspond to the existing live tile recommendations. So when you look at this logo, don't necessarily want to cage it in a square. You want to think about it also too in other concepts, but because this was being used on the contest, I went ahead and kind of threw it in there just to show. Now, one of the reasons why they did this is because the logo that this came from was simply just PWA at the bottom. Actually, I think using the same blue as the TypeScript logo there. And so they're kind of keeping with that theme because that's kind of something that's going with JavaScript. But to me, progressive web apps aren't limited to JavaScript. They are encompassing of different technologies, obviously HTML, JavaScript, and the service worker. We don't really have CSS as part of the requirements to a progressive web app, but it does need to be responsive, so you could also think about it in those terms. And then, we got security as well, and we don't really have icons and stuff for that. So I don't think necessarily caging it in when I look at the JavaScript and the TypeScript logos, to me, I'm really thinking one specific type of technology which revolves around JavaScript. So I think to me that's one thing that does definitely separate this my logo or our logo from that particular one in the offering. And here it is in white just to show you the contrast there. Personally, I'm a little more partial to the white, even though I usually like dark backgrounds. So another one they used was using it as a badge. I thought that was kind of an odd usage case, but I thought, hey, I'll just throw it on there to see what it looks like. I threw the white ones in here in this presentation. In the repo, I've also got it in black just to show you that. So I'm not really sure that the badge would necessarily be the right way to do it, but you never know what the browser platforms are going to do as far as representing a progressive web app on the home screen. They could overlay a little badge to kind of visually indicate this is a progressive web app on top of your icon. So don't let that be a limiting factor in the way you think about how a logo to represent progressive web apps might be incorporated. So I said this is a public repo. It is on GitHub and it is open source. It's under a Creative Commons license. I got to give a big shout out to Adrian Bateman on the Edge team because he's the one that actually helped me figure out which license to use, because that is not something that I feel like I'm qualified to figure out. Creating and maintaining open source projects is not my forte. Not that there's anything wrong with them, it's just not where my strength is. But it's on GitHub and it's one of my many repos that I have sitting up there. And my main thing is docluv, D-O-C-L-U-V. And this particular project is /pwa-logo. Feel free to clone it, fork it, add some value to it, merge it back in, and hopefully I won't be too lethargic or lame on getting pull requests and things like that managed. It's not, again, not something I'm really that great at doing, but feel free to do that, and hopefully you will be able to add some value. Like I said, there's a big array of images that are available to you to kind of reference that. I've got some core images in there. They're in paint.net format because that's my primary graphics thing, because honestly I don't want to pay for Photoshop. Paint.net is free, it's available on Windows, and it's really pretty powerful. There are some tools to flip it over to a PSD file. I've been having problems with that lately for some weird reason, anyway, that's why I don't have a PSD version of it right now, is because those those file filters, whatever they are in Paint.net, have been hanging up the application, and I haven't had time to figure out that one. So sorry about that. So if anybody out there wants to do it for me, that's a good example of a fork would be greatly appreciated. Now finally, this is July 4th, and we have till July 7th for the community to vote on a common logo to represent progressive web apps. And so I want to encourage you to go vote for our logo. If you like some of the other logos, feel free to vote on that. I'm not going to slap you on the hand or anything. Of course, I want you to vote for ours because we put some effort into this, and I'm glad I had a chance to take some time and try to explain the parts of the logo a little better. The blog post that I posted back in November really didn't do a good job of explaining that. I just said, hey, basically here's a logo, go play with it. So hopefully I'll make a little updated blog post to go with this video and put it up on the Love to Dev site, hopefully by the end of the night tonight. But I will get this video up there on YouTube and our Facebook page as well, and hopefully you'll go from either one of those over to the GitHub repo and like it and clone it, and also go to the voting repo, which I've got a bit.ly link to because the link was rather long, and give us a big thumbs up over there. We'd love to get a lot of community support behind this, obviously. Share with your friends. We're going to be sharing, obviously, links to this video and to the corresponding blog post on our social media accounts. That'll be on Twitter, our Facebook page, and we've got Google Plus and LinkedIn and so forth. So we'll be sharing some stuff out there as well. So definitely help us out by sharing with your friends. And if you haven't heard of Progressive Web Apps, definitely plug into our channels, our different outlets, our blog, download our free ebook on why you should upgrade to a Progressive Web App, and that's at lovetodev.com/PWA upgrade, and that'll give you access to I think it's about a 25, 26 page ebook. It's not a ton of reading into it, just to describe what's going on with Progressive Web Apps and why you want to upgrade your website to a Progressive Web App. And then again, we've got some online courses that we're building out right now. So you definitely want to stay tuned because we've got a lot of activity around Progressive Web Apps and service workers. And this logo is kind of a way for us to kind of give back to the community, to help give some identity, as well as give Progressive Web Apps exposure to the broad development community and also business owners, because obviously without the business owners, developers don't really have projects to work on, and we need them to understand the concepts around Progressive Web Apps just as much as developers do. So thank you for engaging us with this video about our Progressive Web App logo. And again, please go support the community voting, and hopefully you'll give us the big thumbs up, and we can use this logo to represent Progressive Web Apps in all the different parts and pieces that Progressive Web Apps are all about.